Hey there, Starshaped here. Welcome to another Warcraft commentary. Today we have a best of three. I think it's a best of three. It might just be two ladder games in a row. I'm not really sure, but it's going to be between Sheik or Sheik. I'm going to call him Sheik as the Red Undead against MisterWinner, the teal human. So two Russian players. MisterWinner known for playing very stubbornly and very uniquely, or like he likes to play the way he likes to play. Doesn't much care for the meta game or whatever other people are doing.
Summoning is complete.
In the past, we've seen a lot of rifle caster from MisterWinner, especially against undead. Every single game, he'd go rifle caster, tier 2 all in. But with this new patch, 1.30, he seems to have changed his style a bit. They did buff Crypt Lord, so perhaps that's the reason he doesn't feel confident going for the rifle caster army anymore. Instead, we will see him go for something quite different, but less all-in-y, which I quite like. Meanwhile, his opponent Sheik is doing the very standard Ted Fiend undead build order. Sheik is not really known for doing anything other than just playing straight up and playing very, very well. Very good micro on this guy. Probably the second best undead in Europe, I would say. I mean, it's either him or like Shaddai. So Amazonia, we have MisterWinner creeping this goblin in the lab, which is pretty standard. Does not get lightning shield, but most human players, I guess, don't really care about that. But it is possible. Instantly killing this wizard, getting a Gloves of Haste, not a bad item. Meanwhile, Sheik doing the more kind of modern approach to this map and starts creeping himself. Being very careful to redirect damage from his Death Knight to his skeletons, and from his skeletons to his other skeletons, and kind of just spreading the damage out so that he has as much DPS as possible to kill this camp. So as you can see, he redirects so the skeleton does not die. Now it can be used for scouting instead. We do have level 2 for the Archmage, and I'm just going to check his resources. We should be seeing a tech any moment now. It looks like he might have just forgotten it, because he can tech right now if he wants to. There we go. So we have tier 2 tech on the way. Already have tier 2 on the way for Sheik, who's going for that Ted Fiends, like I said. So the first Fiend's on the way.
The sleeper awakes.
A lot of skeletons still out. Just gonna keep on creeping. And a lot of this has probably a lot to do with just the fact that Sheik knows who he's playing against. He knows there's not going to be a fast expansion, so creeping as much as you can is great against attacking human. And funny enough, they actually did not see each other until now. They're kind of creeping right next to each other. So nice by MisterWinner to try and steal some creeps, but Sheik gets the big one. Item does, however, go to the Archmage with the +3 strength, which the Death Knight would have loved to have. Perhaps they can swap intelligence for strength. And yeah, I mean, MisterWinner, very aggressive human player, certainly. Doesn't like creeping too much, doesn't like expanding ever. I've never seen him expand, pretty much. And he is getting the Arcane Tower and the Lumber Mill, and so far no Blacksmith. So the guy who used to go Rifle Caster every game is sure playing differently, despite the fact that Riflemen were buffed as well, which I find very interesting. Like, this would be, in theory, this should be his patch, you know. Rifleman Caster is just so much stronger now, but decides to change it up. There is a Blacksmith, but whenever it's a Blacksmith and a Lumber Mill, you can pretty certain that they're going to go tier 3, as you need both of these structures to unlock Knights and Griffins. Gonna see level 3 Archmage in a second here. Double Cloak, not the best, but having one, obviously not the worst either. Gives you a bit of versatility. Another small interaction here. As soon as there's a level 2 Water Elemental, you kind of have to be a bit scared as undead here. but there is the Unholy Aura. Potential for hit and running is pretty high, and there's no real threat here for either player. They're just kind of keeping tabs on each other. Meanwhile, do have that Mountain King second and a straight tier 3 for Mr. Winner, and Sheik also with the immediate tier 3. Although it wasn't that immediate. He first built a Slich, then he built a Slaughterhouse, then he went for tier 3. You can pretty much do either one of these first. It really depends on the situation. A lot of the times you just want to go straight to 3, but against a teching human, Sheik decides he wants his Lich and his Slaughterhouse up as soon as possible, rather than get the orb as soon as possible. And they're both kind of still creeping away from each other, trying to steal each other's creeps. So the
Summoning is complete.
kobolds go down on Sheik's side, but the shop creeps are going down on Mr. Winner's side, and that is level 3 Death Knight, which is a huge boost. And if both of these heroes are level 3 in a one-base game, it certainly feels better for the Death Knight player, having those level 2 coils. And for Mr. Winner, we have 1 workshop, 1 aviary, and tier 3, which is quite unique. Usually you'll either see like double workshop or double aviary, but having like 1 of each, it's interesting to see exactly where he wants to go with this. Nice illusion scout from Mr. Winner. He can be pretty certain where his opponent is. He's going to run down and creep jack him. And this is a tough spot for Sheik. Half his army is pretty much damaged. He might have to temple out of here if he wants to get out alive. Passes it to the Lich, great move, so the Lich does not go down. This Fiend is too healthy to die as well, so no losses, but a town portal forced. So a small victory for Mr. Winner there. However, the creep camp is gone, and the item, plus 6 agility, went to the Death Knight. Not the best item, but not too bad either. I'd put that on the Lich, get some more DPS, a bit more armor.
Our forces are under attack.
We check from Sheik's point of view. Still hasn't really scouted too well. And Mr. Winner, right now, has that flying machine, which is very nice use of the flying machine. If you have a workshop or you're going to make flying machines, even if you have no intention of making flying machines, just making 1 and putting it over here in the wood, it's really strong scout. And it cannot be seen unless there are air units if it's hovering above the woods. So very excellent use of the flying machine from Mr. Winner. So he knows it's safe to creep this. He has enough information to know that it's a safe spot to creep. Mountain King will level up. Gets a wand of mana stealing, so not the best item. And Mr. Winner is also very low on resources, so there was... Perhaps you could suggest that there should be an expansion here, but obviously if there's no wood, you have to back home those peasants.
It's hammer time.
And it looks like Mr. Winner's just playing straight up Knight, Griffin,
I live to serve.
Gyro. So Knight, Griffin, Gyro on 1 base. The real question here is, will you have enough flying machines to deal with destroyers if you only have 1 workshop? That is the real question. But if we look at Sheik, he has 2 statues. Doesn't look like he's going for any more. He is getting the web upgrade, which is very nice against both Griffins and flying machines. Should be, yeah, he's just below 50. He has enough food, and soon he has enough gold to get that 3rd hero, which in this situation is almost always going to be a Dark Ranger, so you can silence the heroes. Silence the Paladin to snipe the other heroes, silence the Mountain King to avoid a bolt, and so forth. A very strong choice. So we should see any moment here. There we go. So triple hero against triple hero. Both at 50 food. Similar hero levels. I mean, this Mountain King needs 1 experience, which is a bit of a shame. If you could just like find a sheep or something, you could probably kill that for 1 experience. And yeah, they're both kind of just banking up here. It's a 1 base situation. I mean, there's no real pressure to go above 50 unless you scout your opponent doing it. But here's the first real big engagement. Double web here. Focus fire on a Crypt Fiend and Frost Armor being used. very, very powerful in this situation. A lot of melee units being slowed and armor being added. And those level 2 coils are keeping that Fiend alive. I mean, the effective hit points on this is insane right now, but it does go down. Finally level 3 on that Mountain King. Silence hits both the Paladin and the Mountain King, so no Holy Lights, and no Stormbolts. And oh, the Paladin had the staff, the Paladin got nuked. Level 2 Stormbolt, make sure that Fiend goes down, and they're just swapping units at this point. All the militia are coming in from the main base, but that duration is not so long. They're going to turn to peasants. They're not going to do that much in this fight other than turn into skeletons. Last minute bolt to try and kill the Fiend, but also a last minute coil to keep it alive. Looks like MisterWinner lost a bit more in that fight, but he was also banking a bit more during that time. Bit of a mistake, I'd say, to have the staff on the Paladin. Probably the Paladin just bought it as he was coming out of the altar. I don't think it's intentional to have that staff on the Paladin itself. Since he's the only one who can't really heal himself, it's usually a good idea to have the staff on the Archmage or the Mountain King. So he might pass that over. And Sheik doing the right thing here. He won a fight, forced the town portal, and so he goes straight for that huge camp. Get more experience, more gold, and a super item perhaps. And he's doing this quite blindly, but safely nonetheless, since he knows there was a town portal. MisterWinner well aware of the possibility here. Creepjacks just in time, but the item is already picked up, and it's the Unholy Aura, so the worst possible item, but you can at least sell it for some gold. Nice positioning here from Sheik, doing the best he can in this tough spot. Nukes down, and the Knight but gets staffed. Bolt light focus on that Fiend dies really fast. Knight's dying in return. Holy Light keeps it alive for a little bit longer, but that focus fire with the orb is very, very strong right now. Does, however, get away with 9 HP. Very, very, very well played by MisterWinner, and another Fiend goes down. Griffin goes down. They're just trading units at this point still. Staff is still on the Paladin, gets transferred to the Archmage, but it is on cooldown, so this Paladin could go down, but Sheik decides he'd rather focus down these Griffins, taking extra damage from this piercing from the Fiends. Cannot move due to the web, so nice to pick off. Nice bolt light usage here from this winner to make sure that these Fiends don't stay alive. However, the Paladin does go down, despite the staff being on, or off cooldown rather. This Frost Arm is being used tremendously well, making these Fiends so much more efficient than they otherwise would be. And still, we haven't seen a single destroyer, so these water elementals are actually becoming very dangerous, adding a lot of DPS to this army. And MisterWinner is just climbing ahead in his supply. I mean, it's 39 against 54. Very low on mana, though. So there will be no more boats for a little bit of time. Huge Nova hitting all those peasants. Perhaps killing this Knight, unless there's a staff. No staff so far, but maybe in a while. And all these peasants go down. A bit of a shame. It's just free experience, and it's a wood that MisterWinner won't be receiving any longer. So he won't really be able to afford any upgrades from this point onwards. He already has Animal Training and one attack upgrade, and that's pretty much all he's going to be able to get. Meanwhile, Sheik at 2-0 with a third statue, so at this point he might actually choose to make destroyers. There's also the Temple of Dan with Banshees, which, I mean, Banshees are amazing against this kind of tier 3-1 base style, because there's no Dispel here. Curse is going to be great, Anti-Magic Shell is going to be great against the magic damage from the Griffin, and eventually Possession will be great against the Knights, so you're pretty much covering every aspect of this army with just that Banshee. Still no destroyers, and this is like an interesting dynamic here, like how many gyros do you want to make blindly, how many do you have to make just to make sure there won't be any destroyers, and if there are no destroyers then effectively these gyros are just wasted food. But here we go, another battle, focus fire, frost armor, coil, counter focus on the Griffin, so they're just again trading units, so it's going a bit faster for MisterWinner than Sheik at this point. 2 Fiends down, 1 Griffin so far. Berserker's the next target. Cannot be coiled obviously since it's not undead. And again the Paladin being focused down for the 3rd time, and no staff usage here. And this Griffin's as good as gone. So 2 Griffins for 2 Fiends and 1 Berserker so far. First Anti-Magic Shell has been cast. Another well-timed frost armor keeps this fiend alive, but not for long. Now the Archmage is being focused. He could die here. But the Mountain King has a staff. Staffs it out. Oh, almost kills the Banshee. And the Mountain King is actually in serious trouble here. There is a coil, but there's no mana for Nova. So unless Sheik decides to eat a fiend or something, this Mountain King is pretty fine. These destroyers have not shown their faces so far.
Our forces are under attack.
But here's the result. I mean, 5 gyros that are just not doing anything. Here we go. So we have 55 supply against 46. MisterWinner is ahead. He is down though in upgrades, and because of those peasant losses, he just cannot afford to get any more upgrades. We'll focus on the Fiend, and a nice well-timed bash here seals the deal for that kill, but a Knight goes down as well. We do have 3-0 attack upgrades now on these Fiends. Very close to losing the statue due to the Griffin magic damage. One does go down. Nice pickoffs, like just nuking and running back. Sheik really just biding his time. Does not have Master Banshees, so possession will not be on the board for a long time, but getting enough mana to anti-magic shell the entire army and then curse all the enemy units. That's pretty much what Sheik is looking for, but MisterWinner is saying nope, I do not want to wait that long, I want to push now, I want to win before you have enough Banshee mana. Focusing down the Banshees very, very well. Fiend gets micro back. The Paladin dies for a 4th time this game, I believe. He is level 2 though. Mana potion used. Lich kept alive. Another Knight goes down. This level 5 Death Knight is very, very scary with those level 3 coils. It's going to fully heal anything that it targets. And I mean, the supplies are getting more and more even, and MisterWinner is really feeling the effects of sacrificing his peasants earlier here. Only sitting at 21 wood. And a web here is so powerful, it really forces the fight here. MisterWinner cannot afford to just back off and let that Griffin die for nothing, so has to take this fight. Trade a Griffin for a Fiend. Tries to block with War Mental, but this Fiend is still alive. Silence on the Mountain King, so even though he has mana at this point, he cannot use that Stormbolt. And now, attempt at a counter block from the Fiend. Didn't really quite work. There is now mana for a Stormbolt. Goes off. Will it be enough to kill this Fiend? Yes, just barely, but I mean, if you're trading Knights for Fiends, it doesn't really feel that great as human. And MisterWinner, I mean, he still hasn't made any peasants. He's still sitting on those 2 on wood. So 1,000 gold and just no wood income here.
Our gold mine is running low.
So I have 4-4-2 on the heroes for MisterWinner, compared to 5-4-3. So having that level 3 on the 3rd hero is a huge difference. Level 2 silence is amazing, just as level 2 Holy Light would have been amazing as well. Looks like Sheik is going for this 2nd huge spot. Turn the Fog War on. MisterWinner is scouting this with the Flying Machine, so good use throughout the game of just scouting with these Flying Machines. I mean, that's one of their primary roles. But the reaction is too late. This Granite Golem will go down. I hope. I think. Sitting at 12 HP, so it didn't go down yet. MisterWinner is taking a bit of time. A bit unsure if he wants to actually engage here. I mean, the supplies are not in his favor. And now we have 5-4-4 and 2nd Unholy Aura. So he gets both the best creep spots in the game, but he gets a useless aura twice. Very unfortunate, but at this point doesn't really matter. It looks like Sheik just has too much, and we have to remember that a lot of the supply is tied up in useless Flying Machines at this point. Last minute Holy Light dodge that coil, gets the Fiend kill. Nice little way to start the fight, but I mean, Mountain King's dropping low, Paladin's dropping low. Desperation Mercenaries coming on board here, but Paladin does go down. mana potion used on the Death Knight and staff not used on coming down. GG. This was game 1 on Amazonia. Stay tuned and we will go into game number 2. I just want to say quickly though that, I mean, the fact that we had those flying machines, although they were a useless supply, they did have a preventative kind of measure, like they made sure that destroyers weren't made. So this is kind of the dilemma when you're going one base tier 3 as human, and do I want to make a lot of flying machines or do I not want to make a lot of flying machines? If he didn't make any flying machines, Sheik could have chain morphed through destroyers at any point and just won the game, so it's very, very difficult to judge as human how many flying machines you need and at what point you need them. And same thing as undead, like it's hard to judge sometimes whether you want to actually morph those destroyers to deal with the water elementals or if you rather just keep them on the ground and use them as statues. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon for game 2.